Hello everyone, you're watching Sightline. Today in our studio we have Dr. Saranga and Dr. Ikhamoglan to discuss the sustainable cashmere production in Mongolia. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
So Dr. Saranga, you are the manager of Sustainable Textile Production and Eco-Labeling Project. And Dr. Ikhamoglan, you are the coordinator of the Green Gold Animal Health Project. So can you tell a little bit about your project and how you're working to develop the sustainability of cashmere?
So, Stepakala project is funded by European Union and coordinated by AVCF in Mongolia. This is a grant project. The goal of this project is to implement sustainable practices in the production line of the Mongolian textile industries. So we are working closely with the textile industries who's processing wool and cashmere fiber in Mongolia.
So your project works in the processing stage of the cashmere?
Yeah, our project is focusing on the sustainability of the downstream of value chain.
And your project?
Yeah, we've been working actually, we started working on rangeland management, and then since 2017 we are working on this, how to promote sustainable cashmere production. But I would like to also remind our viewers about what is the sustainable production. Definition of the sustainable production is to meet the demand, the need of the current generation without compromising the ability of future generations. So when you look from that perspective, the cashmere production in Mongolia is not sustainable. Why? Because one of the main ingredients of sustainable production, the rangeland, has been degrading for many years, and the quality of the cashmere is going down because the animals are not having enough nutrition out of the rangelands because it's degraded. So our main focus area has been really to promote sustainable cashmere production, and since 2017, based on our best practices, we have started developing so-called sustainable code of practice for nomadic herding, and this is the basis of our project to promote sustainable cashmere production out of Mongolia. It's also not only from the economic perspective, but also from the ecological perspective, to incentivize herders so that they can take good care of the rangelands and as well as animals.
So you're saying that what has gone wrong in the cashmere industry and also in the Mongolian herder is that we have too many livestock, so that we don't have the high quality animals.
Yes, exactly.
And the way to develop the sustainability is to maybe decrease the number of livestock.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, one of the main reasons, as I mentioned, that why Mongolian cashmere production is not sustainable anymore is that the rangeland degradation. And the reason of rangeland degradation is that we just have too many animals that are over the carrying capacity. But according to the researchers, that 69 million animals that we have currently is twice more than the carrying capacity of rangelands. And when you look at the goat population, now we have 27 million goats.
So we have 27 million goats, but we actually need only like over 10 million goats.
Yes, yeah, but I think the Saranga will answer that question, because when you look at our local production capacity, we don't have that much to process, so that the most of the out of 10,000 tons of cashmere that Mongolia produces, almost 70% is exported after just being washed. So there is not much added value here. But our processing companies has only a capacity to process about 4,000. So maybe we should also think about to have a number of goats that can produce enough and high quality raw materials to our processing plants.
So Dr. Saranga, I'd like to ask you about this result of the fact that we have got too many livestock. So what kind of problems and challenges are you facing in the process stage?
Because there's a lot of concurrency in the raw material, and it's not at all beneficial for neither for the textile industries nor for herders. The real reason of this problem is foreign traders and Mongolian middlemen or traders. They just pay per kg, per kilogram, but this luxury fiber must be evaluated by their quality. When we are paying per kg, of course herders, they would like to increase their income, and they will increase their goat. And it's not at all beneficial for textile sector because of the land degradation. Net yield of the product decreases, and it will influence highly to the increase of the product cost. So our price is not at all concurrent compared to the Chinese cashmere or other countries' cashmere. And also when the animal is not well fed, there's a lot of dandruff, and to remove all these vegetable matters and dandruff, we need to process again and again, and we will lose the length of the cashmere fiber. And why Mongolian fiber is, people is interested in Mongolian fiber because our fiber is longer than Chinese one. So, but however, because of this too many increase of animal, we lose the quality of cashmere goat, we lose quality of cashmere fiber. That's why we need to differentiate Mongolian cashmere from the cashmere of other countries. So we need to create value add. And I believe that sustainability is not just a marketing tool or sales tool. Sustainability is real value add to Mongolian cashmere. We can differentiate our Mongolian cashmere by making it sustainable.
So now you are purchasing the kilograms of cashmere. Have you tried to offer different prices for different quality cashmeres?
Yeah, we are. IVSF Mongolia is practicing this way of commercialization since 2014, and now a Stepekala project will promote textile industries to adopt this best practices. We are classifying the cashmere fiber at the herder level according to the age and according to the female and male goat. And then we are offering high quality cashmere at premium price to the international buyer. And I have just yesterday I received an order from Italian company for 5 tons of dehydrated cashmere, but dehydrated high quality sustainable cashmere. And I believe that this kind of order will continuously increase if we offer them real, transparent and traceable high quality cashmere, which is processed in Mongolia. And I believe also that we will have huge success in the end product market if we could show to the final consumer of European country and developed countries that our cashmere is sustainable. There is a real market demand nowadays. Yeah.
Okay, so your project is going on for the 3rd year, and at the moment, how much cashmere are we producing sustainably?
Well, our company, our project team and Mongolian Wool and Cashmere Association developed a voluntary code of practice of sustainable textile production, and we prepared 18 textile industry committed to the VCP, to this VCP, and they are starting to renovate, or they are starting to implement sustainable practices in their production line. But the sustainable production wouldn't implement it within 1 month. We need the time, but we should to start now, and we should to show the best practices to the other textile industries that they could follow us, because the market. Our textile industries is working in the luxury sector, and all the international buyer and all the international processing companies in the luxury segment is requesting sustainable cashmere, and they're requesting their supplier to be sustainable. So we must to do it now, and we must to improve continuously our results. And we should to monitor the environmental impact upstream of value chain and downstream of value chain, and that's why we developed this voluntary code of practice. And in this voluntary code of practice, all the requirement, environmental and the social requirement for the production line is shown, so the industries could. If the industries follows this requirement, they will be able to report that their production line starting became sustainable, and that's what the entire luxury sector is waiting for us.
Your STEP Ecolab project, they presented certificates to 18 textile industries, like you said. And does it mean that all of them have agreed to follow the Voluntary code of practice?
Well, these 18 processing companies is starting to implement sustainable practices, but this is a quite new topic for our textile industries. So we should to work closely with these 18 industries to implement efficiently the sustainable practices. But the production capacity of these 18 companies is quite high, but everything depends on the quantity of certified sustainable raw cashmere. When we are talking about the sustainability in textile sector, we are not talking about the sustainability in the processing level. We are talking about also the sustainability in the upstream of value chain. For our case, sustainability of herder communities, herder cooperatives, and when we are talking about the sustainability at the upstream of value chain, our most important problem is this pasture land desertification and pasture land degradation. And I think that it wouldn't, we need more time to prevent pasture land degradation. And it's not only every stakeholder of this supply chain have to collaborate together to build this sustainability in our entire value chain.
So, Dr. Khamhatlang, your project is working in the upstream of the value chain, which is actually like highly important to create the sustainable cashmere. So, what kind of incentives and reassurance are you using to convince the herders to follow a more sustainable way of herding their animals?
Yeah. There are many countries are developing kind of the contextualized sustainable code of practice. So in Mongolia, we have mainly nomadic herding. So since 2017, we have been developing what is sustainable code of practice for nomadic herding. It's called the responsible nomad. So just recently, about 2 weeks ago, that this responsible code of practice for sustainable livestock production has been approved by the standardization office. Now it has become a legal document that have to be followed by. But at the same time that we also encouraging herders that they follow the standards. But herders, of course, they would like to, of course, they respond to the incentives such as price. If there is a premium, like if there is a differentiation in terms of price, if they produce high quality cashmere. But at the moment, because of this situation, like almost 70% of our cashmere is sold to the middlemen, and middlemen just, they don't differentiate with price. As Sarango said, yesterday we were talking to this herder woman from Undurshiretsum, and she would like to differentiate when she sells the cashmere with color, with age of the animals, but there is no, even she classifies, the middleman comes and he puts all the cashmere into one bag and offer them average price. So what we are trying to do is just to have the herders have a direct contact with the processing companies, especially domestic processing companies, so that they can themselves interact, so that that the processing companies can pay higher price to the higher quality cashmere and lower price for lower. And at the same time that I would like to say that we should really treat this sustainable production, sustainable cashmere very carefully, because the standard is one thing. Then we have to have the whole structure to implement. First, we have to implement the standard. Second, we have to make sure that these are enforced. And the third is monitoring. There is a whole institution setup we have to create to tell the customers, like in Europe, that our cashmere is actually sustainable and our cashmere is traceable, and our herders are doing good job in terms of taking care of the rangelands, and not only the rangelands but animal welfare. And unfortunately, because we are not being very clear, transparent, that many customers have very wrong image about our country, that the Mongolian cashmere are not sustainable. But I must say there are a lot of herders, a lot of cooperatives, a lot of processing companies are committed and doing a lot of work to make it sustainable.
So the incentives were trying to differentiate the prices. It would be better if the producing companies could directly purchase the cashmere from the herders, not like through the middlemen. So Dr. Sarango, on the Mongolian textile companies, you put some standards and guidelines in order to ensure that they are sustainably processing the cashmere. So what are the requirements are there for sustainable cashmere production?
First of all, we request our textile companies to save at least 5% of water and energy consumption yearly and improve this data every year. And second, we are require them to use green chemicals recognized in the REACH regulation of European countries. Why European countries? Because most of our cashmere products is exported in European countries thanks to the GSP plus advantage. And second, we are asking especially scaring companies to pre-treat the wastewater and improve the quality of wastewater and comply with the Mongolian national standard and if possible to the international national standard. And of course there is a social criteria and our voluntary code of practice composed of 38 environmental requirement and 27 social requirement. And Mongolian Wool and Cashmere Association improved this voluntary code of practice with Mongolian textile engineers and researchers, and they are proposing national standard of sustainable textile production. They submit this proposal to the Mongolian Agency of Standardization and Metrology, and we are waiting for their decision nowadays.
So Mongolian textile companies, they are following this sustainable ways of processing the cashmeres. So, but in order to do that, we need like lots of investments. So I heard that you were working with the Mongolian Sustainable Finance Association. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, Mongolian Sustainable Finance Association is one of our project partner, and they are especially focusing on the green financing part specific for textile sector. So they developed two fundamental documents during these 2 years. First one is how to assess the risk of environmental and social risk of textile industries, and the second document is green credit criteria for textile sector. So these two documents are very specific and suit to the textile sector, very particular and for the textile sector, and it will be helpful to finance green project of textile industries. For example, we need more investment to buy wastewater treatment plants. Companies need some green financing to improve their machinery by the energy efficient machinery. Also herder cooperatives and companies, they need green cash flow to source certified sustainable raw fiber. And so the Mongolian Sustainable Financing Association is working to build sustainability at the herder level and in their production line.
So, Dr. Hamlan, I'd like to ask you, what are we doing to promote our Mongolian cashmere on the international market?
Yes, there is already a demand from the international customers that they would like to see more transparent value chain, they would like to see traceability, they would like to source more sustainable cashmere. So after now that there are two standards being developed, one for the herders collective sustainable code of practice or cashmere production, and also for the textile industry. Now we have done all the homework, and now we have to really implement it, enforce and monitor it, and also to promote that Mongolia cashmere is sustainable and why. And we have to have also all the indicators, all the system that assure that what we say sustainable is sustainable because of this and that. So this year, together with the STEP Lab project, we are trying to facilitate the responsibly produced, sustainable produced cashmere to our processing company, so that we can trace from the rangelands till the end products, so that we can even tell to the customers that this garment is produced by these herders, and they're environmentally, they're rangeland friendly, they're animal friendly, they're responsible people, they're a member of the cooperative, their products are high quality. They also take good care of the environment around and the wildlife and so on. And when we deliver these sustainable products to the international customers, we have to really make sure that this is sustainable, because if we produce some fake sustainable products, it may ruin the reputation of Mongolia forever. So that's the image we should be very careful to protect.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Inhamotlang and Dr. Sarangol, for taking the time to talk to us about this important topic of sustainable cashmere production.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
You've watched Sightline. Today we talked to Dr. Inhamotlang from Green Gold Animal Health Project and Dr. Sarangol from STEP Eco Lab Project in Mongolia. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.